Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. General Townsend, prior administration reduced nearly all of the 700 troops that we had in Somalia. Now you're commuting from Djibouti and Kenya for counterterrorism, over-the-horizon operations. How is that working now, and what are we going to do to increase effectiveness and reduce risk?
Senator, in my view, we are marching in place at best. We may be backsliding the security in Somalia, the security situation. And that's for a number of reasons, not just our commuting to work, but it's also political dysfunction in Mogadishu. It's also inactivity by the Somali, by the AMISOM partners. Those also factor in. I just think that what we're doing is not providing sufficient pressure, and the best we can do is maintain a secure area around the bases that we return to, and we really can't get at the al-Shabaab problem set.
General McKenzie, you had a similar challenge with the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and we haven't seen any strikes since our withdrawal last year. I suspect some of that's information gathering, a lot of logistical challenges. But what are we doing there to overcome the massive reduction in our CT efforts in Afghanistan? And if you could, give me an update on how ISIS and al-Qaeda are doing rebuilding their efforts in Afghanistan.
Senator, let me preface what I'm going to say by saying in the closed session that will follow, I'm prepared to provide an exhaustive laydown of exactly what we're doing in Afghanistan at a very granular level of detail. So I'm prepared to do that.
Great.
But I would tell you we have not undertaken any strikes in Afghanistan since the 1st of September. We continue to watch carefully as ISIS grows. They've gone through the winter. They've been able to carry out some high-profile attacks. They still aspire to attack the United States and our partners abroad. And so we're going to watch very carefully what the Taliban is able to do and not able to do in terms of controlling ISIS. Because as we all know, Taliban actually will fight ISIS, and they have a theological dispute, and so they are in opposition. Al-Qaeda is a little more difficult to understand because of their cultural interweaving with the Taliban. They still have an aspirational desire to attack us. It will be harder for the Taliban, I predict, to ultimately control their actions.
That was with Haqqani's and the Taliban government. How well are they doing countering the al-Qaeda threat in Afghanistan?
I think they've taken they've done some things that are very public in order to limit them. I think it remains to be seen if that's actually going to be translated into action.
Yeah. I doubt that it will. General Townsend, when you look at these maps that you have about the footprint and your area of responsibility for Russia and China, are we kind of use the words marching in place with respect to the CT threat? In answer to the prior question, are we more or less marching in place, or are we gaining any ground, particularly over China's what I see as a massive investment and increasing footprint in Africa?
Senator, you're right. You just said China's massive investment. We don't have to compete with China everywhere. We have to be selective about where we compete with China. And I think we are being successful in that targeted competition.
On the PMCs that Russia has, the 4,000 or 5,000, you mentioned that a part of what you're doing is exposing their activities, their malign activities in the area. Give me an example of one or two that are publicly known that the American people should be aware of, that Russia is a malign, savage influence not only in Ukraine but down in Africa.
I think some great examples were in spring of 20 when Russia provided fighters to their mercenaries in Libya, and we were able to conduct an aerial photography ambush and expose to the world the provision of those fighters going to Libya that wound up in the hands of Wagner. I think probably the best one, though, to get at the heart of the matter you're talking about there is as the fighting ended, the civil war ended in Libya, Wagner began a withdrawal from along the line of contact there, and they left behind anti-tank mines, anti-personnel mines, and booby traps, IEDs, in their wake. And one of the most heinous ones was found in a teddy bear when they withdrew.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Tillis. Senator Kelly, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.